Alright, so basically for this phone stand, we have the dimensions on the board. Hopefully I'll make a drawing with dimensions later on in the future. But basically what I want to start out with is I want to create a box for a reference of the total size of the object, so I keep it in the parameter. It's going to be, so I'm going to create the rectangle, click anywhere on the screen. I prefer left bottom corner, and I type in D for dimension, or click here for dimensions. And I type in, which is the length, would be 2.5, height will be 3. There we go, so I have a reference design piece here. Next, I'm going to draw basically a line to copy the exact shape of the item, and then it will offset the thickness of it. That's how I'm going to make this work. So, to do that, let's start out with the shape. We use a spline. So this is more of a design kind of device. It's more aesthetically pleasing if we use the spline. So from there I will go to draw spline, but I use the fit spline, not the spline CV. You'll see the difference. Actually, I can show you the difference. So the fit, that's the CV. There's points in it where you can adjust. For this one, it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's hard to explain exactly what the difference is. If you try playing around with it, you'll see. But actually, any of them will work fine for this project, so feel free to use whichever you prefer. So first we'll start designing that backing, which is arched, something like that. To give a better understanding, and then actually we'll do a circle here for where the phone is going to be placed. So it's going to be a arc. There we go. 3-point arc from here down here. Oh, that's not the one I want. 3-point arc is actually in order, so that's the key factor you have to consider. So it's 1, 2, 3. That's the kind of arc we're using. If you use the other types, there's a start, center, end. So it's start, center, end. And there's, of course, start, center, angle. Start, center, and the angle you want, how many you want to go. So you can play around with those, but I prefer the 3-point start arc. That's the second part. Keep it level and try to, so from this point and this point, keep it exactly on the horizon. So make sure you have F8 on or ortho. Connect if needed to give you that arc. And if you take the center point, it's going to help you out too, because it's going to snap exactly to the edge, like so. So I have all 3 points of the arc, the top, center, the start, center, and end, on the same horizon. Delete that, and finally I'm going to create the backward curve down. Go to spline, because I want to make it unique. Turn off my ortho, I no longer need it, and I go to somewhere down. Now the part, oops, forgot to click enter. What you need to make sure you do is when you have that piece down here, is that these are aligned. Otherwise, when you have it on your table, the backs can be higher or the fronts can be lower. Even though at this shape, your phone should be at that same angle, as long as the bottom parts are the same angle. So what we can draw is a line. Again, you have to make sure it is straight, 90 degrees, so you go to your ortho command, turn it on. Draw a reference line, stretch this item down by clicking the blue point, stretching it down to snap onto the horizontal line. Alright, so we have these 3 different parts. If you want to change this to have a little roundabout arch, That would probably be a good idea. Now, instead of creating an arch, what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend this out a little bit. Oh, that's too far. And I'm just going to use a fillet command. So I go to fillet. Here's my fillet. Oh, there. Fillet. Radius of, it's going to be like 0.125. You can try something else. And I have something like this. Now I can stretch it back up to create somewhat the shape I'm looking for. Now, something about stretching. If you haven't noticed already, I'm just going to make a copy of this. Stretching works in a way that anything inside the box, when you do create a box for stretching, will just move. So this circle, this segment, is by itself. And if it's in my stretch box completely inside, it just moves. So it never changes, no matter which way I'm stretching it. Now, so the other parts are only halfway in, so they are being stretched. Anything inside won't. So I can even show you another example. If I have a few circles, and I stretch the two lines, this one and this one at the bottom, and I keep everything inside the box, they just move over. The crazy part about circles, which I should not use, is you can't stretch circles. So let's say if they were boxes or squares. Stretch doesn't make any changes to the boxes, but it does make a change to these two splines. Now if I grab only a portion of it and a portion of the box, I stretch up, you can see the box gets deformed. If I stretch to the side, again, this box gets deformed. So keep that in mind if you're using stretch. The other thing I want to go over at this point would be, if you haven't figured this out already, the green or blue boxes, what they represent. Green selects everything that is inside and it touches. Blue is only selects any object that's inside. So in this point, if I go to the right, it's going to be blue. To the left, it's green. So blue, it's going to only select these two small boxes and the arc. Like so, 1, 2, that. If I did the same thing, except the other side with the green box, it would select the whole item. So sometimes you just want to select a line that's stuck, hidden behind another line. What you can do is create a blue box just big enough to catch that small line, but not big enough to catch the whole item, and you get that line to delete. So it's a pretty neat trick. So again, if I have like a line that's there by accident, or a few of them, and I want to select all of these and delete it, what I need to do is create a blue box. It gets all of them and I can delete them. If I do with the green box, which is right to left, it'll select my whole entire object, which is not what I wanted to do, so that'll be wrong. Two cool skills that are very useful. Alright, back to our design. So I have pretty much my layout of what the item is going to be like, and actually my phone would be, here I'll show you an example, rotate it around, I gotta take ortho off, there we go, at that angle. Now if that angle doesn't work for you, of course you can move the object a little bit lower, actually it's going to be lower. It's going to be about right there. So that looks about right. Now if you want to make sure that it's the angle you're looking for, you can draw a horizontal line, create a dimensional angle from the phone to the arc to see what degrees you have that. It's at 30 degrees. That's pretty good. 45 degrees I think would be too much looking at a phone. The 30 is just perfect. So now I'm going to delete that. I approve this design, and I'm going to go to my home tab. I'm going to use the offset command. So I'm going to use offset, and the thickness is going to be 0.15, so I have to do half of that, except offsetting from both sides. So I'm going to go 0.075. Or you guys can do something a bit thicker or thinner, up to you. But if I'm planning on printing this out on a 3D printer, I want to minimize the use of plastic to reduce cost. So I'm offsetting both ways, like so. Make sure you catch everything. Actually, it almost looks like a chair. Pretty good chair. The thing about offset, you have to watch out with the arcs. You may lose a line, like here. Once that arc got offset out, it left a gap. So you have to close those up before you go any further. You can delete the center, and you can trim off the parts that are not needed or that are overlaps, like so. Here, like the arc here, got shrunk on this side, so they're double lines. You can see that. One's higher than the other, so you have to make sure that they're snapping on together. It's one of those things you have to catch. Otherwise, your object won't be physically able to be a solid item. And of course, you can trim off this extra material in between, like so, but making sure that there's no extra material on the side. Now, another way of solving these little issues, maybe there's extra material here where one line is longer than the other, you can't see it, it's going to take you forever. What I recommend is using the fillet command. You can leave it, if you want the 90-degree angle, you can leave it the radius at 0, but if you want a little curvature, which I recommend for even plastic molding or anything, to do at least, a fraction. I have 0.125, that might be a little bit too big, so I'm going to do half of that, which is 0.0625. And create those smooth curves, which is actually only 2 spots, but maybe I'll adjust this one. And this boy right here doesn't look too pleasing. It looks like it has a corner here. So I'm going to actually remove it, create a fillet that's pretty big this time. It's going to be about 0.25. And I'm going to create that. And that was too big. So I can always delete that and redo it with a smaller radius. Fillet, radius. And it's in between. So fillet, radius, 0.1875. That should be, yep, that's perfect. Now it's up to you what kind of corners you want, the ends, if you want them closed up, like so, or if you want to put a fillet on it. But at the bottom, once you're complete, you have to redesign that line to make sure it's straight down. So we'll have to actually trim this out, like so. There we go. So if it's on the table, it'll be flat, based on our design. And of course, like I said, if you want to make sure if you didn't snap these on, I knew I'd snap them because I both had no snap on. You can always go to fillet, radius set 0, and that just makes sure that the lines are connected. Alright, once that's complete, you can delete the frame. That helped you establish the sizing. And we're going to create this object into a polyline in 2 ways. One way is using the command region, and the second way is by using the command pedit, which is polyline edit. You can do it the easy way first or the hard way first. We'll use the easy way first. So we go to Draw, Region, select the entire object, and click Enter. Now you don't see any changes, but if I select the item, it becomes one full line. And if I go into a visual, conceptual, you'll see that it's shaded white. Oops. Okay, so that's one way, especially for this part. This part, it's easy. But if, let's say, your region doesn't work, your second option is to use pedit. So you type in pedit, you select M for multiple, you select the entire object that you want to make into a single line, you click enter, because that's all the items you want to select. You type in yes, or you click enter, because yes is a default. You click enter again, and you type in J for join, or you click on join. You leave the fuzz distance 0, and you click enter again to get out of the command. And it should be one piece, except for it's segmented every 10, which might be a problem, but that's alright. I think my computer can handle that, and yours also. Once we have this, we can go into an isometric view. Oops. Doesn't matter which one we do. And we have to do the thickness of the part. So we're going to extrude it out. Let me see. Okay, so we're going to extrude it out 3 inches. Go here. Either type in EXT, or you can go to your extrude command. And we go 3 inches. Like so. Just trying to figure out where my front and my back is. And if you don't like the position it's in, it's alright. What you can do is using the modify, 3D operations, 3D rotate. You rotate it around to have the top at the top view, which helps a lot. There we go. Now, yes.